And we are starting broadcast.
The broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Hello and welcome. This is Victor Dominguez with Business Performance USA, and we're happy you could spend some time with us online and learn about this important topic. Title of today, of course, is Grow Market Share with a Strategic Plan. And we want to share this with you and all of our members because we find that this is a very helpful tool to not only kick off the year, but to really get everybody on board. And of course, the theme here is that we want to help you develop your game plan for a winning strategy and flawless execution. So welcome. Once again, this is Business Performance USA, and I am Victor Dominguez. As you can see here, my photo, I'm currently serving as Executive Director of Business Performance USA, and we're fortunate to have our co-founder, friend, and business colleague, Cynthia Stewart, join us today. And Cynthia's just going to introduce herself for a quick moment here.
Well, hi, this is Cynthia. And Victor, I'd like to make a quick comment about this topic, strategic game plan. Actually, I work with clients, and what I notice is that a lot of clients, they're either really timid about what is a strategic plan anyway, or what is a strategic business plan, or they don't think they're worth doing at all. And what I find is that one analogy really helps us all figure this out. And it is that we decide that we want to go on a cruise. Well, you know, to go on a vacation of any kind, especially if you've got a family or if you're going to visit people or you're going to visit a place, it really takes planning. You've got to have a strategy for transportation and for how you're going to pull your money together to be able to go, and what you're going to do when you get there, and kind of what the goal is of the vacation. Like, when you come back, what do you hope? That you've seen certain places, met certain people. And so, Victor, I think of a strategic game plan as the same thing as putting together a vacation plan to make sure that when you're on the other side of that vacation, you've had a great time and you met all the expectations that you geared up, and you spent the money that you had, or you didn't spend more than you had, and you got to go to the places that you wanted to go and talk to the people that you wanted to talk to. So I really like that you're putting this webinar together, and I really support that. It's really not as hard as you think, and there's some really simple tools you can use to put together a strategic game plan.
That's terrific, Cynthia. Thank you for that. And I really appreciate the simple and straightforward analogy. And that's, folks, why we use these simple analogies, because we at Business Performance USA try not to overcomplicate things. And planning and understanding what results you want to get is exactly why we're here. Of course, on this slide, you can also see Dr. Jeff Stewart. Dr. Jeff is engaged with a client right now and should be here shortly. Dr. Jeff is another co-founder of Business Performance USA. We think of Dr. Jeff as anchoring the strategy side of people performance and strategy. Very bright and engaging individual, and we strongly suggest you reach out to Dr. Jeff sometime in the future. The time you spend with him and interacting with him will be worth it. Moving on, we just want to make sure this event is worth your time, and you can always ask us questions using the chat feature or even the questions feature, of course, whatever is easiest and most intuitive for you. And we want to thank all of our attendees for joining us today. We appreciate the turnout. And mostly, it's about what do you do after this webinar. So feel free to ask me a specific question about your workplace, about your strategy, and everything else. And you can simply contact me, Victor, at Business Performance USA. So we're going to roll into this, and this will be a fairly short webinar today because what we want to do is create awareness for what a strategic game plan is. And essentially, the reason we're putting on this short webinar today is because we invite all of our members to engage with our executive volunteers to discuss your strategic game plan. It's not going to be possible that you can walk away from this webinar and be ready to roll with all of the 5 key elements of this. So the whole point of Business Performance USA is to allow you to engage with us, brainstorm with us, talk to us about what a strategy really is, and core processes, and culture, and systems, and structure, all of these things. And of course, for another analogy we use is we think of a team. Now, I'm a West Coaster, and water polo is actually quite popular over here. And we think of strategic game plan as a process. You've got your offense for how you penetrate and grow market share. You've got your defense for how you fend off and outperform competition. Offense and defense are very, very important when we think of those terms. You need to have your game plan strategy, and you need the systems in order to train your athletes, everybody on the team, and you need structure so that everybody on the team knows their role. You've got a goalie, point, guard, wing, all of these positions that we are familiar with in teams, quarterback, halfback, fullback, and so on. And it's not that one position is more important than the other, although sometimes you may hear that. It's that everybody knows their role on the team and they know their position in the fulfillment of the strategy. And that's why we use this simple analogy. And so the question we want you to ask us is, how can you brainstorm with our executive volunteers and discuss your strategy? It's really simple. Become a member and talk to us. Ask us questions, write to us, watch webinars, and that's how you can interact with us and develop your own strategic game plan. Next, I want to show you the same analogy in a very different form because everybody learns differently. This is the same thing we're talking about in a schematic which explains it more in a business perspective. What we're going to be talking about briefly is these 5 elements that are surrounded with both external environment and the results. And we want you to think of your external environment as the marketplace and understand what your current market condition is. If you engage us later, we have conversations, who are your key customers and suppliers, and who are your key competitors, of course, to set up your defensive game plan. Understand your stakeholders, from employees to customers to investors, and so on and so on. And that environment goes into your strategy. And this process really runs at first counterclockwise. From strategy, you develop core processes. From there, you look at your structure, how you are frameworked, what is the structure of your organization, what systems support you and your culture, and of course, out of that come the results. So this is what we want you to engage us with, and feel free to ask us for a copy of our strategic game plan process. Now, strategy, we just want to frame fairly simply for you because you can, like Cynthia said, it can seem intimidating as to what your strategy is. But we break it down very simply here. Strategy guides your scope of your offerings. What are your products and services you're bringing to the marketplace? If you're a nonprofit, what services do you use to reach out to your community or constituents? How do you scale your resources to accommodate growth? Resources being both human capital and financial capital. Very, very important. You need to look at, if you want to expand your scope, you're going to need more people, you're going to need more money. Is it the right time to do that? And lastly, reach into local, regional, national, global markets. This is all about growing your organization. That's where we talk about growing your market share with a game plan strategy. And I would like to just share one thing, because we have this very simple conversation with our clients as well, both Cynthia, Jeff, and myself. And it's remarkable how often when we sit down with the executive team or any manager or any employee and ask them to describe the strategy of the organization, very, very often we get inconsistent answers, and even at times people unable to answer the question, what's the strategy? We strongly believe that everyone in the organization needs to understand on a fundamental level, basic level, what the strategy is of your organization. So just like a team, they know what their role is. They know how to participate. They know if they're on offense or defense. They know what type of support role they're in. It's remarkable the kind of energy and momentum you will get when you have this discussion with everyone in your company, what your strategy is, and we strongly encourage that. Now, core process is what we're talking about. Core processes, of course, delivers excellence to your marketplace while adapting to continuing change. And we just want to plant a seed here that processes, sometimes people think of them as hardwired. Once you learn how to do something the so-called perfect way, that's the way you will always do it. We happen to think that processes are more flexible, fungible, and adaptable than hardwiring them, because Your marketplace changes all the time. Your customers change all the time. It's a very dynamic world, and your people, staff, change all the time. We actually think core processes need to be reflective of the dynamics in your marketplace, and sometimes that means continually changing core processes. So that's the type of conversation we want you to have with us. And again, at the bottom, ask us, to what degree do process variances detract or support cycle times and efficiencies? If you're wondering about that question, even why ask that question, that's a good opportunity to engage us at Business Performance USA. Next, we're going to talk about structure. It frames your human and capital resources, like we talked about, for optimal delivery of services. We mentioned this earlier, but this is really where it comes into. And when I think of the common practice of structure, I think of hierarchical authority and siloed departments. You've got a CEO, CFO, COO. You've got marketing, sales. You've got IT. You've got customer service, research and development, on and on. And we would ask you to think, is the structure of your organization reflective of contemporary times and dynamic times, or is it really a reflection of the way we started structuring companies 100 years ago, 200 years ago, even back into ancient times? We believe that the structure of current organizations is rather rigid, and that's a judgment, frankly, and we would have to qualify that by discussing your exact situation and your exact organization. But we would ask you to challenge yourself with what type of structure you need to really be dynamic in the marketplace and grow your market share. Next, system. The systems orchestrate your workflow and ensuring the right information at the right time. People might typically think of IT systems, and that's very appropriate in this day and age, what IT systems and technology and software support you. But there's other systems as well. There's human support. And it's important when you look at systems or look at any of these 5 components, you reflect them against each other. For instance, if you're going to make a change to strategy, are your systems ready to support that change? If you're changing your systems, are you really factoring in your core processes into how your systems orchestrate workflow? You can't really make a change in one of these 5 areas without the other. And so we would ask you to reflect on the systems you use to support your people and support your customers, constituents, and make sure you're taking a holistic approach. To the last, but I don't think it's the last at all. I actually think it's number 1 personally, and that is culture. The culture begins and thrives within the mindset of collaboration. Culture is the reason people want to get up and go to work and go to your organization every day and really give their very best and feel like they're contributing. Culture means that compensation really is not the number 1 reason they show up to work. And mostly, culture is anchored by having a shared purpose. Why does your organization exist in the workplace? What is the noble cause that you use to drive, motivate people? And the noble cause being, of course, also associated with what outcomes are you going to achieve, not just for yourself, but for your customers, your constituents. Culture, we believe, is very, very important. And while you look at all the functional disciplines in a company, culture is the thread, the glue that binds them all. And that's about it for this webinar. Now, it's brief, it's high level, but that's the whole point. We want to create awareness of what is possible, and we want you to just step up and engage us, talk to us, join us on Business Performance USA, watch webinars, and ask us questions about it. We have, if I can jump over quickly, be mildly awkward, but this is our website, Business Performance USA. Here is our homepage, fairly obvious. More important, though, here is the space for you to join us. Here's the wall. The experience is similar to other sites that you will recognize. And this is the place where you can engage us. watch a webinar, ask us questions, collaborate with really bright, smart people here who are also members. And think of this as your shared brain trust of brilliant people out there in the workplace that really do want to make a difference in the world. And with that, we're going to close up. And I know I've been talking a lot, so I'll kick it over to Cynthia for a second. Cynthia, any last words you would like to share with us? I caught Cynthia off guard, so she...
what I'd like to do is kind of give a really That's okay. I'd like to give really a quick example. I have a client that has account managers, and so one of the executives tasked them with putting together a strategic account management plan, so a strategic account plan. And I really saw them struggling with it, and somebody said, you should talk to Cynthia about that. And I found out that, I think that word strategy, it sounds big. It sounds bigger than it is. Strategy is really how. It explains how. So it's how you plan to achieve what it is that you're trying to achieve. And so in this case, when you think about an account management or account development, what would a strategic account plan look like? It would be simply, what are the goals of the client this year? What do they really want to do? And what are the goals of the supplier? In this case, someone that's supplying services. And what are you going to do? What's your plan to make sure that you meet your client's objectives and meet your company's objectives, that's the service company's objectives? So you have to kind of sit and say, well, let's see, and it could be things like, well, I really need to educate the people working for me because they need to get better at how to communicate with clients. Or maybe you would say, I really need to engage my clients' employees better in this program, and so these are the things I'm going to do. So it's really just about setting up and deciding what it is that I need to accomplish this year with this client, and how am I going to go about that? And your strategy is kind of those key things that you're going to focus on. I'm going to focus on education. I'm going to focus on engagement. I'm going to focus on delivery of reports, something that is, very tangible, but it's a way that you can explain how to focus. So hopefully that's helpful when you think about strategy, Victor.
Thank you, Cynthia. I think it's brilliant in its simplicity and emblematic of what we do here at Business Performance USA. You'll find really bright, well-educated people that just happen to talk in very plain language so that everybody can understand and get on board. And that's the whole goal, of course, is to get your entire organization on the same page. And when you do that, you're going to see incredible growth, incredible progress towards your goals. And so strategy really is where it all begins. Understanding what you're going to accomplish and why you're going to accomplish it. So there you go, folks. We really appreciate everybody showing up today and attending. This will be posted online. And again, watch this again and ask us questions. Engage with us. And together we're going to learn. So we appreciate your time. And with that, I am again Victor Dominguez, Executive Director of Business Performance USA. Contact me, victor@businessperformanceusa.org. Thanks again for your time, and be well.